Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Well, who would have thought that a Don King fight involving two fighters who've been out of the ring over 3 years and 2.5 years respectively, and I'm talking about Mahmoud Charr, formerly known as Mahmoud Charr, and Trevor Bryan, who would have thought that that fight is falling apart at the seams? Only just days ago it was announced for January the 29th, no real fanfare, a very basic sort of statement put up on Don King's website, and now we have a couple of the different fighters involved in this really sort of crying foul. On one hand, you've got Mahmoud Charr saying, you know, all manner of things. We'll get to his statement, which he's done on social media. And then you have Christopher Lovejoy, a Don King signed fighter who claims that he didn't really know much of anything and has not signed anything to be involved in this card. He had been announced by Don King via Don King's website. See here on screen. This is what they put up the other day. Very basic, a headline, and then you have a bout sheet. It says that Lovejoy was due to face Berman Stavern. So what we'll do, we'll get to Mahmoud Charr's statement first and the Lovejoy stuff a little bit later on. I would also note as well, even though Mahmoud Charr, formerly known as Mahmoud Charr, who's been out of the ring for over 3 years now, about 3 years, 3 months and counting, you know, he's saying certain things about King, which I'm sure some of which are no doubt true, that there is some tomfoolery going on here, but also he's got to have a couple of things and own it too. And I think his statements just painted all one direction. So I do want to return a little bit of fire towards Charr. But anyway, see here on screen, this is from Instagram. He says, "What a mean, nasty game by Don King. Research has shown that the specified venue in Florida on January 29, 2021 was neither booked nor confirmed by Don King. The fight was announced in BoxRec, but the alleged venue has not been confirmed." He says, "You don't want to fight me. Don King tries to force me to sign with him, which I definitely won't do. I have a boxing promoter myself, Errol Celan. We have already put our lawyers on all points. Don King won't get away like this. No matter what happens, I'm at 200% fit and ready to fight. The title stays with us in Germany. I filled out all the WBA's forms, adhered to the legal guidelines, and signed all of the WBA's contracts several times. I also signed the Don King Promotions contract under protest. The game with Don King has been going on for 2 years. We boxers are neither promoters nor organisers. I would like to defend my title every 3 months. It's all up to Don King that I haven't been able to fight for 2 years. Allah is the greatest. He will give me the power and passion. I will be ready for you and every challenge." Then a bunch of adding different people. Now, I don't doubt Mahmoud Charr on a couple of these points. I'm sure that there has been some, shenanigans that have been going on here. And if they've actually looked into things and there's no hotel booked or there's no venue booked, maybe that's right. Remembering, Don King won the purse bid for this fight, Mahmoud Charr, formerly known as Mahmoud Charr, and Trevor Bryan, back in, I think it was March 2020. But the pandemic happened, the fight wasn't able to happen the next month in April. So what the WBA did, and see here on screen, because they, at the start of December, said that the fight between Charr and Bryan will be held by January 29th. So this was issued by as you can see here, the Championship Committee and signed by Carlos Chavez. So this fight, we know that this has been coming for some time. And, one of the things I wanted to sort of, as a counterpoint to Mahmoud Charr and what he's saying there is, call the bluff. You're saying you've signed everything, you've done all the paperwork. You should be coming to fight, because in a way here, it looks like you're trying not to fight. And you've had several other opportunities to fight, and we'll get to that in the past 3 years. But in this specific instance, call the bluff. I mean, I would actually wonder if he's actually having trouble getting a visa, because he's had some considerable time now, more than a month, so 6 weeks, to start getting his house in order, to know that he's going to have to come to the United States and fight, and that the latest that the fight could be is January the 29th. So although this fight was only announced in recent days ahead of this video being done, we knew that it was coming, that the WBA had actually ordered that the fight had to happen, and the latest date that it could happen is January the 29th. So there could be some sort of chicken type situation happening here. But on the face of it, given everything that's gone on in recent years, I think there's probably a bit of blame to go around all around on this one. Because, you know, when you look at it from his statement, what he's saying, he's signed the papers, he's done this, he's done that, he's done everything that he has to do. All he has to do is turn up. He is accusing Don King of not actually staging the fight, that nothing is actually booked in, locked in, nothing is happening. I don't know if he really knows that for a fact. That is just an unproven accusation at this point, although it wouldn't surprise me in the least. What I really think is happening from both sides is that potentially King, knowing that, you know, he had to put the fight on, he had to have it by January the 29th, and they've arranged it for January the 29th. They're trying to get everything in order so that they don't lose their title. And I think both sides are doing that. I think there is a high-level stakes game of chicken here. So some of what Mahmoud Charr is saying, and we'll get back to the statement, it is sort of bluster. He's basically going on. I mean, we can't sort of verify what he's saying here. Who's to say that actually this isn't going ahead? Although, you know, on the face of it, it does look like, you know, there's some dodginess going on here. But it wouldn't put it past me for both these guys. And remembering, Mahmoud Charr has been out of the ring for more than 3 years. He says that Bryan and King have been holding him up for 2 years. It's not really 2 years, it's maybe 18 months, because that fight was meant to happen sort of September time 2019. Never happened. And we don't really know why it didn't happen. Mahmoud Charr was looking at pursuing other fights in the interim, and also Trevor Bryan was looking to do the same. There was meant to be a Christopher Lovejoy fight towards the end of last year. But to say that Don King has held your career up and he is responsible for you not being in the ring, solely not being in the ring, well, that really is just trying to feed us. It's a lie. Mahmoud Charr has been out of the ring for more than any time that he's been involved with Don King. He failed a drug test in this period of inactivity. He only got off in a technicality, and I'm not going to have anyone try to tell me he beat the B sample. He got off on a procedural error. There was no one there that was actually, from his side, present when the B sample was opened. So he was basically playing chicken with the WBA and saying, I will take you to court. So the WBA, and this is where this is all going as well, both sides are insulating themselves, and they will be ready to actually pull the trigger on court action and say, look, we did everything that we were meant to do. So we've been waiting for this fight, and obviously pandemic slowed it down and other things, and the fight's fallen over before. Wasn't the only fight for Mahmoud Charr / Manuel Charr, whatever we're calling him these days. So for him to just go off and say that King is responsible for torpedoing his career, you know, that really is pushing the boat out a little too far. This guy doesn't want to fight every 3 months. He wants to cash out for the biggest payday. Hence all these call-outs, you know, of Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, Dillian White, others at different points for big money fights. He didn't really want to face Trevor Bryan until $2 million came onto the table, of which he was going to get $1.5 million worth. So this is why this fight will go ahead, and he'll actually face Bryan, because no one seemingly wants to overpay him to take the title off his hands. No one wants to take a big loss, because no one's interested in seeing Charr fight, because he actually is not a factor in the heavyweight division. He's not even top 30 at this point. You know, he was pretty much irrelevant before he picked up that vacant title against a washed Alexander Ustinov. But we have to also spray a few barbs towards King and Bryan, because on the face of it, it looks like this whole thing is a bit of a sham. And if there is no venue booked, if there's no hotel booked, I mean, who knows? I mean, on Charr's side, maybe there are visa issues at play, but they have had some time. They knew this fight was coming to try and work out any kinks. So why not turn up stateside ready and for a fight and call the bluff? On the King side, if this is true that nothing is actually booked and it's actually coming apart at the seams here, well, you would think that that would be relatively easy to establish. And when you consider as well, you have another fighter poking holes in this card for January 29. And I made comment when this fight was announced a few days ago before I've recorded this video, that the so-called press release, how it was announced on Don King's website, and that's going back to Mahmoud Charr, wasn't announced on BoxRec, it was announced on King's website. This is how it was announced. Headline followed by about sheet. So I made comment at the time that that was pretty once over lightly, wasn't a proper press release. It looked pretty thin in terms of what they were doing. They're promoting it, and seemingly there is no TV network deal or deals licensing in place at this point. I don't know all the backstory, I don't know everything, and I commented in that previous video that it would seemingly be quite tight to arrange all these different things in a short amount of time. So Charr is calling them out, but he should also be calling their bluff. I mean, Trevor Bryan and Charr, to an extent, they are caught in the crosshairs of Don King here. And I can understand why Charr wouldn't want to sign with him, and as absolutely anyone who does seems to disappear down the toilet, never to be seen again, or at least very infrequently. But another guy who's on the undercard, I digress there, Christopher Lovejoy. He is meant to be facing Stavern. He's had a number of clips on social media in recent days since the fight was announced, as it were, saying, actually, I don't really know too much about this. Is this happening? Because I haven't seen any paperwork. Here's a sort of selection of comments from Lovejoy.
And I called Don King up today. I said, what's up? What's up with this fight, man? Is this fight you was talking about? He said, yeah, I told you everything's good. Okay, so, okay, well, yeah. When I get a contract with my name on it, with opponent's name on it, with a date on it, with a location on it, and deposit, I start talking my stuff, man. Yeah, I'm gonna get that to you. I said, well, listen, man, the clock is ticking. That day said January 29th. So I need some money, man. I gotta pay this sparring partner.
Get your mind right, man. It costs to be the boss, man. Send me 10,000, I'll run my little camp, little 2-3 week camp, and let's get to it, man. If not, call somebody else, man. Get it together, man. Want me to say this show, send my money.
So seemingly Lovejoy is calling the bluff here, and he's saying, if this fight is truly on, send me the contract. But he wants that deposit, as he always is quick to say. And I can understand that. I did see some different stuff he was posting saying, look, a training camp is expensive. I've got all manner of costs, sparring partners. I'm going to be here, hotel, food, all sorts of other things. If the fight is happening, send him the contract and get him some money. I don't think that's an unreasonable demand. But at this rate, and I think, many of us have been saying this in recent months, recent years, all these guys will actually believe that they're fighting once the bell rings for round one. It just sort of seems that it's a whole bunch of silliness wrapped up in each other. And where this is headed is both respective camps are going to say, look, I should keep my title because I signed X, Y, and Z. It's the other guy's fault. And then they will threaten the WBA with legal action, and then probably the issue goes away until they try to reschedule something or try to do something down the track. At this rate, Mahmoud Charr, he is already one of the, if you consider him a world champion, which, many people just say belt holder given it's the regular title, he's one of the longest reigning so-called champions, that the WBA's ever had. Think about that. The guy has not defended his title. The whole situation is just laughable. It's a farce. It really, spending too much breath wasting my time on this. But yeah, I was looking forward to that fight and the other one actually happening, because we could actually clear up some of this nonsense with this interim title, this regular title, these inactive belt holders, that we could actually see one of them disappear down the tubes, because they're holding up the division. They're clogging these different titles that others who want to fight, who are active, could actually be holding. But it's the WBA. Everything sort of seems to, lurch from one thing to the next, especially with these so-called champions who've been holding their belts. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.